What is Genpact doing around sustaining the market dominance that you have, but then also managing to innovate at the same time?
Yes, I think innovation becomes incredibly important today. So, because I think the days of doing this for labor arbitrage are drawing to a close. The days of just taking a process and redoing it somewhere else are also over. I think most clients want you to innovate with technology, the combination of process and technology, and added to that analytics and best practices from around the world. Putting those together and coming up with modules and solutions becomes extremely important, and then taking them to market. This is a very different model from what we've all followed. We followed a sort of P per person pricing model. So the pricing model will also have to change substantially to be able to do this. So these are big things that need to happen in our industry. We're doing a lot. I mean, we have product managers now. We have people who are building new products, who are bundling solutions together and taking them out to market. So there's a lot of stuff happening today, which is very interesting. But at the same time, I honestly think we haven't evolved adequately to get to what I would call a non-per-person pricing model. That's the first thing. That model has to change. Once that model changes, we will all be forced to innovate. Ultimately, the services we provide to companies have to work very simply. They have to give us X amount of information, we process it and deliver them Y results. And they pay us based on how well we do that. It's like going to a bank. You give them your checks and they give you a bank statement and say, this is how much money you got and this is how much you can withdraw. And it's not about who's doing my work and who's trying. We've got to get away from that. So I think we're spending quite a lot of money on research ourselves. We've got an R&D lab. We've got a place where we do a lot of research into end-to-end processes. So procure to pay or order to cash. How do these processes work? So we're doing a lot of work. And then lastly, on delivery itself, we really have to get to a model where we are not lining one person per process up, that you can do that through a generic pool of people. So I should be able to serve a large group of customers with one set of employees.
Right.
And I think those days are also, they have to come here fairly soon.
I mean, our clients really asking for that kind of outcome-based pricing.
Absolutely.
Or do they find it complex to understand as well?
They find it complex and they worry that there's a lot of low-hanging fruit that we will get the benefit of. And the problem is neither they nor we have adequate measurements in the beginning to allow us to do good output-based pricing.
You need to calibrate it in some way to begin with.
Yes, but there's no reason why you wouldn't go to a client who you've been working with for a few years and say, now we have all the measurements in place, now let's come up with an output-based model. It'll take some effort because you're trying to change sort of habits which are quite deeply ingrained. And you're going to have to change them a little violently occasionally to make it happen.
Okay. So the second question is about Egypt.
Right.
Egypt Egypt was developing itself as a BPO center quite extensively. And then, of course, there was the revolution earlier in the year, which focused a lot of negative attention on the region. But it seems to have bounced back very quickly.
Very nicely.
Is it a place that you're exploring?
We had explored it earlier. We stopped in the middle of the revolution, obviously. I think the revolution was a fabulous thing. I really marvel and admire the people of Egypt for doing what they did. I think it's wonderful to see, and we're very proud and sort of feel, looking at them from afar, we were all amazed and full of admiration. I thought it was wonderful. We will rethink that now, because an Egypt that is more democratic is better for us, right? And so, absolutely, we would think that we will rethink that. We've set up business in the Middle East. We need to go and take that business and probably do that out of Egypt. And if we can do that, I think there's some real potential for us.
Okay. And I've got a question about accents here. But normally we hear this between, say, Britain and India, I guess. But here it was someone asking about Missouri and the Midwest American accent. and particularly for elderly people trying to call
Yeah.
contact centers. How do you deal with those kind of problems?
We haven't dealt with it individually yet, okay, quite honestly. So if it's a problem, we've let it remain a problem. The fact is our presence in the US will continue to grow. We're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger in the US over time. And I think there are many parts of the US where we can do very profitable operations from, which are also very reasonable and economically viable for us. So we will expect to grow. Is it going to be in Missouri? I don't know. And is it going to be targeted specifically at Midwest accents for the elderly? Again, I don't know. I don't know how many customers we have like that. But the point of can you do more in the US is valid, and we're looking at it actively.
And you have already delivery centers in the US?
Yes, we do. I mean, we have, we probably have 2,000 employees in the US anyway. We will that number is going to keep going up over the next 3 to 5 years, very fast.